Welcome back, fearless listeners. Tonight, we dive once again into the chilling unknown, where shadows whisper and the unseen lurks just beyond the light. If you love ghostly encounters and mysterious tales that send shivers down your spine, you're in the right place. So grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and prepare for another haunting story. And don't forget, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more terrifying tales. Now, let's begin.
The haunting of my sister. It's been years, but I still remember every detail like it just happened. I lost my sister when we were in high school. She was a senior, and I had just started my freshman year. She was normal, just like anyone else. A kind person, someone who smiled a lot, who loved to joke around. But something changed that year. Something took her away from us before she was even gone. At first, it didn't seem like anything serious. She wasn't eating much, didn't talk as much during the day. It was easy to assume she was just tired, or maybe stressed about graduating. But then, I started noticing it more. She didn't want to be around us during daylight. She would stay in her room, barely speaking, barely moving. And then at night, when the house was silent and everyone was asleep, she would wake up. I'd hear her moving around, talking, laughing, not sick at all. I would lay in my bed listening to her have full conversations, whispering and giggling like she wasn't weak and tired all day. She said she had a boyfriend. I never saw him. None of us did. She never had a boyfriend before, never brought anyone home, never talked about anyone at school. But she was convinced he was real. She told my parents that he came to visit at night while we were sleeping. She told me that she cooked for him, that he was too shy to see us. I thought she was crazy. I didn't care much at first. I just ignored it. But then she got worse. She dropped out of school. She could barely walk. We took her to the hospital so many times I lost count. And every time the doctor said the same thing. Your daughter is perfectly healthy. I remember how my parents sat there, confused, scared. How could she be fine when she looked like she was wasting away? When she could barely sit up without help? Then one night, everything changed. I woke up in the middle of the night, needing to use the bathroom. The house was dark and quiet, but as I walked past the basement door, I heard something. Giggling. I stopped. My skin crawled. It was her. I don't know why, but my body felt heavy with fear before I even saw anything. The basement door was slightly open, and I peeked inside. She was down there, crawling. She was moving in a way that no person should. Her limbs jerked and twisted as she scurried across the floor like an animal. And she wasn't alone. She was talking to someone, but I didn't hear anyone respond. She let out a shriek, a sound so unnatural it sent chills through my bones. I couldn't stop myself. I screamed her name. She froze. Slowly, she turned to look at me. And for a moment, I thought she didn't recognize me. Her face was blank. Then her eyes widened and she started crying. "Help me," she whispered. Her voice was weak again, broken, scared. I ran to her, flipping the light on as I did. She looked different, so much smaller. Her skin was pale, her eyes sunken. She had no strength, no weight to her body as I lifted her. How could someone that weak have been crawling like that just seconds ago? I took her back to her room, tucked her into bed. She looked exhausted, like she had just run miles. I went back to my room, shaken. I told myself I'd imagined it, that I was half asleep, that it didn't happen the way I thought. But then I heard it, crawling, something moving past my bedroom door. I held my breath. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to know, but I forced myself to check. I opened my door. My sister's door was closed. I swallowed hard, walking over, slowly turning the knob. She was in bed, lying there, weak, asleep. But then she whispered, "I can't yet. I can't go like this." She giggled. I backed away and shut the door. My whole body was shaking. I pulled my blanket over my head and forced myself to sleep, trying to ignore the feeling that something was watching me. The next day, my dad asked me to stay home with her. She sat on the couch, barely able to keep herself upright. I sat next to her, holding her up while she watched TV in silence. As the night went on, the room grew colder. The patio door was cracked open, letting in a sharp, icy breeze that made the curtains dance. I was going to get up and close it when I noticed my sister. She was staring, not at the TV, not at me, at the patio door. Her breathing changed, shallow, quick, almost panicked. I turned to look outside, but all I could see was darkness, just the empty night. Then she whispered, "He's here." Every hair on my body stood up. "My boyfriend is here," she said again, voice shaking. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. "There's no one there." She didn't blink. She didn't even seem to hear me. Her grip on my arm tightened. "I don't want to go," she whispered. A deep, gut-wrenching chill spread through my body. I forced myself to look at the patio door again, my heart pounding. Nothing, just the dark. But she wouldn't stop staring. "Tell him to leave," she begged. "Tell him I can't go yet." I didn't know what to do. I wanted to tell her to shut up, to stop scaring me, but I was frozen. Then, knock, knock, knock. My breath caught in my throat. The knocking came from the front door. She gasped, her whole body shaking now. "He's here," she whimpered. "He's at the door." I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The knocking came again. I forced myself to stand. "It's probably just Mum or Dad," I said, trying to convince myself. She grabbed my arm. "Don't open it." I hesitated. Then I heard it. A whisper from the other side of the door. I didn't hear words, just a voice. I backed away. Then my sister stood up. She had barely been able to sit on her own minutes ago, but now she stood up with no struggle, and she started walking toward the door. I panicked. "Stop! What are you doing?" She didn't answer. I grabbed her, trying to pull her back, but she was strong, stronger than me. How? For months, she had been too weak to walk, but now she moved with force, dragging me along like I was nothing. Then I heard another voice, my mum, from outside. "Open the door." I froze. I knew it was her, but something about it, something about the way she said it, made my skin crawl. My sister yanked free from my grip and reached for the lock. I panicked. I pushed her back, sending her falling onto the floor. I turned and opened the door. Nothing. No one was there. Just the cold night and empty silence. The wind rushed past me, and I felt it. Something. A presence. I slammed the door shut. Behind me, my sister let out a sob. "Why did you do that?" She looked heartbroken. I didn't answer. I didn't know how to. I was so terrified that I picked her up and we ran straight to my bedroom, slamming the door behind us and locking it. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear. But then the sound started. Slow, deliberate knocking and the unmistakable noise of something crawling. It echoed from outside the house and then from just beyond my bedroom door. We huddled together in silence, too afraid to move, until finally my parents came home. Shaking and crying, I told them everything, what I saw, what I heard. My dad looked at me with a mix of confusion and fear, but he placed a firm hand on my shoulder and said, "You need to be strong at a time like this." In the weeks that followed, my sister only got worse. It was like something was draining her from the inside out, slowly pulling her into a darkness we couldn't reach. My parents were desperate. They took her to doctors, priests, healers, anyone who might help, but nothing worked. She never got better. Then one night, I heard her crying in her room. I woke up and crept to her door. As I reached for the handle, I heard her speaking in a deep, unnatural voice. "I can't go yet. I can't leave yet." Goosebumps crawled over my skin. I couldn't breathe. I turned and ran back to my room, diving under my blanket like it could protect me. I didn't sleep. I didn't even close my eyes. The next night, things got worse. We were all in the living room, trying to distract ourselves with the movie, pretending everything was okay. That's when my sister did it again. She then started talking to herself, then cried, then laughed in a way that made my stomach twist. She was shaking and mumbling, "He's here. My boyfriend is here." Then, without warning, she began slamming her head against the floor. My mother and I rushed to hold her down, and my father ran to call for help. The room filled with screaming and chaos, and then the bathroom door creaked open. I turned my head and saw it. A dark figure stood in the hallway, just watching us. My sister stopped struggling and pointed a trembling finger at the shadow. Do you see him? He's smiling at you. I felt my entire body freeze. My breath caught in my throat, and I couldn't move. I started crying and told my mother I was scared. She grabbed me and said, "Stop crying, get your jacket. We need to leave." Her voice was trembling. We rushed out of the house and straight to the hospital. They admitted my sister overnight, but both my parents had work the next day, so they told me I needed to stay with her. My heart dropped. I looked at my sister, pale and lifeless on the hospital bed, and I wanted to beg them not to leave. My mother hugged me and whispered, "You'll be fine. Look after your sister." My father kissed my forehead. "Stay strong. Watch her." Then they were gone. The hospital room was silent except for the hum of machines. I sat in the chair beside her, too scared to sleep. Even the sound of the air vent made me jump. At some point, I must have dozed off, because when I woke up, she was standing by the window. My breath hitched. The hospital room was on the second floor, and yet she was staring out as if something was waiting below. I walked toward her cautiously. "Go back to bed," I whispered. She didn't move. When I got closer, I saw her eyes. They were closed. She was still asleep. The lights flickered. My sister turned to me and smiled, an eerie, knowing smile, then raised a shaking hand and pointed toward the bathroom door. My stomach knotted. The door creaked open on its own. Goosebumps crawled over my skin. I grabbed my phone and dialed my parents. No answer. Then the lights went out completely. The darkness in the hospital was suffocating. I couldn't see past my sister's bed. I backed up until my heels touched the wall. Then I heard it, breathing, crawling, closer and closer. I called her name. No response. Then I saw it. Her pale, twisted form crawling toward me in the darkness. Her limbs moving too fast. Her breath ragged and unnatural. I squeezed my eyes shut and screamed as cold hands gripped my arm. Light flooded the room. I opened my eyes shaking. 3 nurses were surrounding my sister, but something was wrong. She lay lifeless on the bed, her eyes open but empty. The nurses were performing CPR. She wasn't breathing. I knew she was gone. I saw it in her expression, the way her empty eyes still seemed to be looking at me. I collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. My parents arrived minutes later, but I couldn't even speak. The ride home was silent. The only sound my mother's quiet crying. A month passed. One night, I got home late from a friend's house. My parents weren't home yet. I went straight to bed, exhausted. Then I heard it, crawling, slow and deliberate, right outside my door. My breath caught in my throat. I pulled my blanket over my head, trying not to make a sound. Then, a weight pressed onto the foot of my bed. My body tensed. I felt the mattress sink, like like someone had stepped onto it. I gripped the blankets tighter, my breath shallow. Another step, closer. Then, silence. The weight lifted. I heard the crawling again, this time moving toward the bathroom. I stayed frozen until morning. When I told my parents, they told me to be strong, to forget it. I never heard or saw anything again. But deep down, I believe that night, my sister came back one last time to say goodbye.
Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey through tomorrow's thinking stories. We hope you enjoyed the eerie tales that keep the shadows just a little closer. But remember, the unknown is always watching, always waiting. If you loved tonight's story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another terrifying tale. Until next time, sleep tight if you can.